is it a business problem?
No, it's not a business problem. It is negativity because you are wanting to show things are wrong, because that makes it interesting.
No, just put it in another way. You see, the blackguard of all this you're saying is television. Now, television, 11% of ad revenue of 30,000 crores only comes to news television. It's about 3,500 crores. There are about something like 300 channels competing for that 3,000 crores. And they're sort of, crawling over each other to see that they're more sensational. Now, getting those TRPs, making it sensational. So you think, is that a problem? I mean, are they, is that sort of search to be number one?
Apart from that, I think, and just to talk about the entertainment, I think we have to understand that it's a form. See, when you say media is the mirror of the society, it's not a mirror. It definitely not. I mean, if you say a poet, as a poet, I can tell you that if you say I'm mirroring society, if I wrote about a social issue, I'm not merely mirroring the society. There's a form I practice. My form also gets in. Now, when you talk about television, I think the entertainment quotient of television is higher by the nature of the form. So we should also not compare it with the print media and say it's more responsible. The nature of it is more instant. Like suppose you are on a channel and I was watching you when you were there on the channel and you were referring to that program. It's an instantness of it. If you got time to think about it, probably you could have discussed with the editor something else and something else would have come out. There are filters which you apply in print, which probably you can't at the instantness of even social media. Somebody wants to tweet something, somebody sees something, immediately tweets. Probably if he thinks for 2 days, he might not write that. But the consumption of it will also change, the way we consume information. Now, television gradually will... See, right now we have sanctity of what is shown, what is written. That is also reduced. People will also start understanding everything which is coming out there, beamed at them, is not to be taken in the face value. I think that will also change.
I don't entirely agree with you that television cannot be thoughtful. Cannot, it has to be instantaneous. I mean, that is what is now being promoted in the debate. Because if you start making a thoughtful comment, you're cut down and you go to somebody else. That's what we are doing with television. You can have very good television. I think the BBC is a very good example of.
It's a different country and it's a reality.
No, but 1 second. I mean, if you really compare our media with the rest of the world, you don't have any of this anywhere else in the world. What's happening on Indian television? I'm not critical of it. But it's just the phenomenon of Indian television.
You are critical of it.
No, I'm not critical.
And you should be.
No. I think it's politically incorrect for me to say that I'm critical of the media because it'll be news tomorrow. So, in a lighter vein. But let me say this to you. We are not fully understanding what free speech means. What we are exercising on the media is not free speech, but commercial speech. The point that you made. Free speech involves a lot of responsibility when you speak. And there are laws which apply, which do not apply to the media in this country at all. You go anywhere else in the world, if you say anything like this that they say on the Indian television, you will be held, you will be, you'll be sued for damages for millions of dollars. You try that anywhere else. Now, if you say this is evolution,
of course it is. The fact that we are talking about it, the fact that you are talking about it is evolution.
No, but you must understand the impact it has on the future of the nation. Please understand that. It is true that we are evolving as a society, but it negatively impacts the very sentiment of India.
But we have laws. We've got laws.
No, but who will wait for 12 years if you file a suit for damages? Who's going to wait for 12 years? You say...
We can get injunctions against the channel.
How do you get an injunction
against... The IND ministry can pull off channels.
You know very well, Gurbi, you can't get an injunction about anything said instantaneously because I don't know...
libel laws are.
You don't know, I don't know, you don't know what I'm going to say now. It's being televised, if it is being televised. So how can you get an injunction?
If a channel is carrying out a campaign...
No, you cannot get an injunction. You know that. By the time the injunction, you go for an injunction, the media will be after you.
But in your case, sir, in your case...
So in which case, how do you... Let's put it this way. You've been saying that let's make the media more accountable. Other nations
No,
have
it's
it.
not
So
just
can
the
we,
media.
Can we suggest?
The principle of accountability involves every institution in this country.
Absolutely.
So, it's
So-
not the media alone who
So
should
no,
be
here
accountable.
since the topic is that
And I'm
let's
against-
make the country more democratic. So
I'm
how do we
against
make it more
regulation of the media. I don't
Which,
think we can
which
regulate.
everybody has said. I mean, nobody's for regulation.
But-
so what's the other
No,
alternative?
as he said, that it will evolve. Someday people will realize that this is doing great damage, not just to the institution.
But it is the certain criticism of media which is happening right now, and you have become very critical of it, and many others right now. I mean, somebody can attribute this to the series of things which have happened in media, series of exposures which has happened in media, and can be termed at that. You can brand it as somebody who's.
Well, when you say a series of exposures, even that requires debate, which is not being allowed in the media. Whatever exposures you're talking about, if you were to have an informed debate, you may well change your own mind. But the question is, where is that debate?
Yeah.
It's not in the
Let's
electronic media.
take just one
it's not
other-
in the print
one
I
media.
want,
other
to, I
question.
want to just bring back this one point which I started with, and I don't know if you agree with this, which is that the overall effect of what is happening now is that there's a sense of complete negativity in the country because only the negative things are being highlighted. Therefore, and I get this from my friends who are not in the media, have nothing to do with the media, the average, the layman. And he or she says that, my God, we don't want to watch television. Everything's wrong. We even don't want to pick up the newspapers. There's a rape happening here, there's something else happening there.
That's the
And
point.
aren't the good things in this country being, I mean, when the Mars probe went up, it's one of the biggest achievements of science. It was nowhere in the damn news.
Point well
It's-
taken. But
it's-
let's, I'd ask a last round of questions because we are sort of running out of time. But you see, media itself is now grappling with its own problems. It's sort of overburdened with issues as we have seen. The Tarun Tejpal affair, the question of senior editors being kicked out arbitrarily. These are the issues which have come up. Now, should also the searchlight be turned inwards to the media? What do you think as an outsider?
No,
I mean, shouldn't the media be examining
No,
itself? That is, it doing things right?
Absolutely should be examining. I don't think that's nobody can sort of debate that. It is a point where you can't be absolute power without responsibility. It is very important that it examines itself. But at the same time, I think when we are seeing this, is it manifesting? Is it manifesting something larger in the society? When you talked about the negative news making more sort of, let's face it, they are all business ventures. How much of transparency is there in media also? I think we have to get transparency in media also. The fact that who funds which media, all these things have to also come out. When we're talking about transparency in governance, I think we should have transparency in media also as business houses as they run. One thing. Second thing is if negative is selling, is it a society which is right now so frustrated that if somebody out there is nailed, makes some sort of connection which is a connection of and it's a diseased society in that sense, where we are making, we are feeling good about somebody they've been nailed. I've asked about few people in my own research with people, and I've asked, what do you think this guy should be done? They said, kill him, shoot him. This is the kind of reaction we are getting. Is there anything happening in the society which we are ignoring? That the aspirations of people, their dreams of people have not been met? Is there something which is happening in society as a phenomena which is manifesting itself in media, where they're buying negative more?
Anil raised an issue of negativity. Let me just tell you, 10 days ago, there was a report by Ernst & Young, which said that India is the most attractive destination in the world. Right? Next comes Brazil. Third is China. Fourth is Canada. Fifth is the United States. Okay? Now, if you were to look at Indian news reports and Indian media in the last 1 year, they portray India as if India is a disaster. Nobody should invest in India. Right? Whereas Ernst & Young says it's the most attractive destination in the world. And the fact of the matter is that we've got FDI worth $25 billion every year. While our growth rate was 5%, South Africa was moving at 2%, Brazil at less than 2%, Russia at less than 2%. We were still the most attractive economy in terms of GDP growth. But if you looked at the Indian media,
It
and
was not
television
highlighting
channels,
these things.
they
You're
said that
saying
this
no.
is all, India is a disaster.
If you,
This negativity ultimately results in Indian newspapers being shown in foreign countries, in investment meetings, saying that your own media says that you're a disaster. What are you talking about? Why should we invest in India? You must understand, and that's what I was talking about. All stakeholders have a stake in democracy, including the media. And if they start destroying the foundations of that democracy, it's going to impact the future of India. That doesn't mean that we are criticizing the media. The media should realize
what
that
Last
media-
point, we'll have to end up.
it's an important
Yeah.
role to play.
No, but media is
no,
not-
Last point, Anil,
that-
yes.
My,
We'll
my
have to
last
end
point
it.
would be,
Sorry.
and I think it kind of gathers together what we've been saying, which is there has to be a sense of perspective. The media's role in exposing the seamier side of this country has to continue, and has to continue in a very strong way, otherwise things will get worse. But we should not ignore what is happening, and what good is happening. Those positive things should also be highlighted. It shouldn't be so one-sided. And also we should have we should retain a sense of perspective. For example, the Bharat Ratna was given to Sachin Tendulkar, and also to that other guy. What was his name? I know, but I'm saying
Nobody
this
talked
is
to him.
Yes.
that other person, that scientist. Now, the sense of perspective is being lost.
But are you saying that media should not be a business venture? Because if you're saying that, because what sells and what gets eyeball is what gets created. It's not a one-way traffic. In the sense you're saying that it should be do-gooder, it should be losing the business perspective. How would you
I
do
don't think
it?
Anil is saying that. Anil says that yes,
No, but
all the scams must be exposed, all the corrupt people must be dealt with. I think he's saying that. But at the same time, India is not all about scams or not all about corrupt people.
So let's, I think a lot of important points have made. Unfortunately, we've got to end. I think Anil has actually encapsulated that exposure, getting the bad guys out is one of the objects. There should be perspective. The media is vibrant and will continue to be vibrant. At the same time, let's get the perspective right, balance, as well as do what democratic forces need to be done. I mean, it should
But
come out.
regulation is not the answer.
Right? And regulation is not the answer. That's an important point. And I think all the panelists agree on that regulation is not the answer. With that, thank you very much. The panel discussion has been very good. Q&A.